What do you do to feel better when you're having a bad mental health moment? I try to go through actual facts. Am I really worthless? What are the odds that everyone at work hates me? Which people in my life do I want to like me? Focus on them. Not virtual strangers. And then I have a good cry. Hug my husband and go see my horse. Yesterday I was having a bad day mentally. I opened the windows to my apartment to let in fresh air because I absolutely hated the idea of forcing myself to be active outside. I then sat on the couch with my cat cuddling and playing video games. I texted my friends saying I'd be offline and shut off my phone. After gaming a while I took a hot shower and sat under the spray. I painted my toenails to make me feel a bit better. And then I crawled into bed and cuddled my body pillow to sleep. Today was slightly better. Ish. Sometimes I'm too wound up to remember that I know how to calm myself down. If that makes sense. But I do have a few songs I turn to in a crisis, like Beyoncé's Break My Soul, that let me release some emotions and help me think rationally again. I'll try to do some grounding exercises feel my body in my chair. My hands on my lap. My feet on the floor. Those are just quick ways to regulate my thinking again and hopefully break me out of a spiral. I've learned a new tool recently. I did a meditation practice that encouraged me to focus on the stillness/silence and the pause between switching to taking a breath in/out. It said in that moment of stillness is my true self. And it encouraged me to extend that stillness for even a moment longer if possible. So when my brain gets super overwhelmed and I get angry, I focus on that moment of stillness to remind myself I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my anger. It helps bring me back to a baseline and make rational decisions. If you had the power to shut down a company for good, which company would it be? John Deere right now with the tractor software bullshit stopping farmers fixing their equipment. If I need I harvest today before rain. I don't have time for in-service appointment. Facebook. Another one would just replace it. But I think FB shutting down and starting over would be a net gain for humanity. Shell. Terrible influence on the environment and all they do is greenwashing to seem modern. But they still try their very best to keep the oil industry alive. Wallow FCR/Nestle. Companies like ExxonMobil are even worse for funding climate change denial for decades. PG&E. This privately run utility in CA is the poster child of why we can't trust capitalist-run utilities. They are responsible for countless deaths, disease, and major profits for corporate leaders. This is the company that was polluting and causing cancer. It's the company from Aaron Brockovich that poisoned the water supply, and was responsible for burning down entire towns from poorly maintained power lines, like the Dixie Fire. TikTok is a blight on our youth and society as a whole. Facebook is 90% lies. 10% bullshit. Nestle is a good choice, but it would sure be nice to see Facebook wither away to nothing. Scientology. Church my ass. It's a corporation that murders its employees if they try to escape. Burn it to the ground. Saudi Aramco is the biggest fossil fuel company and emitted 59.6 billion tons of carbon dioxide between 1965 and 2017. That's by far more than BO, Shell or Exxon. Removing them could force people to invest in alternatives, or it could just make their competitors fill in the gap and become more profitable. They wonder what their life would have been like had one major event in their past never happened? Thinking about what would my life be like if it wasn't for Russia. Terrible habit, but yes. All the damn time. I'm pretty sure this is pretty normal actually. I've wondered many times what life would have been like if my older brother hadn't been abusive. Or hadn't existed at all. I've considered a lot of past events. If I left my son's mother alone when she was on a date with someone else and not asked about her broken glass shroom necklace. And the typical depressed person's thought, if one parent, in my case dad, had used a condom. They buy lots of underwear so you can do laundry less often? Yes, and socks too. My spouse and I have over 2 weeks worth of underwear and socks, therefore laundry only every 2 weeks. Well, I have a ton of underwear, 140 pair to be exact, and a ton of socks, 120 pairs, but that's because I like different types of underwear and different types of socks depending on what I'm wearing. I do laundry every week. I do it every Sunday morning. I thought everyone does it, guess not. I can go over 3 months on underwear, socks and probably 6 months on shirts. Changed daily. Have totes full of everything because you never know. When I was very depressed a few years ago and didn't really take care of myself and my apartment, I bought underwear instead of doing laundry. In college I didn't have much time to do laundry. I lived in NYC and didn't have a washer/dryer in my building, so during exam seasons I would just order new packs of undies from Amazon. Ended up with at least 50 pairs, haha. It's a false economy. When you do have to do the washing you have a bigger job drying/putting them away, which is the tedious part of washing. Also I have a family. If I don't do a full load of washing at least every 36 hours the basket overflows. So really, I could manage with 2 pairs of underpants. Third world country, nice underwear is expensive so we have a few and wash them a lot lol. Oh hell yeah. And socks. And clothes. It's always a struggle between quality and quantity though. I have some Versus underwear that I've had since college, graduated in 2000, that are still fine. In fact, I am wearing them right now. And I have some cheap ones from Amazon that started degrading after the first wash. So it's a balance. The best solution is decent ones that are on sale/clearance. Why are people dismissive of anti-Asian hate crimes? Because in America everything is black and white binary. The Stop Asian Hate movement became big because the media believed Trump was responsible for the violence since he called it the Wuhan flu. Why did it stop being a story? Could be that the media just moved on to something else, or most of the videos show the violence was from young black males, who are not your typical Trump supporter. Most smart non-Asians know they don't know enough to leave an opinion in the comments. So, all you end up seeing are absolute morons that believe they know more than they do. So, it seems like a lot because the majority of what you see is a denial of the racism. But it doesn't necessarily mean most people deny that it's happening. From what I observed, the Stop Asian Hate movement began right when COVID was in full swing. It was also correlated with the death of George Floyd. The thing I noticed was that a lot of the viral videos of the target hate crimes that were violent were mostly done by black men. The conspiracy would be that the Stop Asian Hate movement was possibly seen as going against BLM. That being said, I know there were a lot of verbal attacks thrown at them by all kinds of people. But only the physical assaults got minimal exposure. I think this is partly due to society blowing other issues out of proportion. A lot of people will say racism needs to end, and I 100% agree racism is awful, but then we get things like BLM which puts all the focus on black people, so now Asians don't get any attention. I'm sure sooner or later we'll get Asian Lives Matter and we'll forget about everyone else again. We need to stop creating issues where there aren't ones, and we need to stop making issues bigger than they need to be. If we have an issue with racism, let's address racism, not just hate towards blacks or Asians or any other race.